The human exploration ship Aurora's Reach moved quietly through deep space. It was not a warship. It was not famous. It was only a test vessel, built to try a new jump drive that humans hoped would make travel faster and cheaper. Inside the ship, the crew acted like it was a normal workday. Captain Elena Brooks floated near the command seat, reading data on a screen. She looked calm. Engineer Mark Hale sipped coffee and joked about how the machine always worked better after a good shake. Navigator Lena Perez checked coordinates with relaxed focus. No one looked nervous. This was supposed to be a short jump, 1 second of strange light, then open space on the other side. That was the plan. Jump drive ready, Mark said. Run it, Captain Brooks replied. The stars stretched. Light bent. The ship shook harder than expected. Then everything stopped. Silence filled the bridge. The stars outside the window were wrong. Too bright. Too many. And the space around them was filled with massive structures, huge stations, glowing lanes of traffic, and ships larger than any human city. Lena blinked. Captain, we are not where we should be. Captain Brooks leaned forward. She did not shout. She did not panic. She only asked, confirm location. Lena ran the scan again. Her hands slowed. This can't be right, she said softly. We're inside unknown space. Heavy energy signals. Thousands of ships. Mark looked up from his console. Unknown as in nobody's here? No, Lena answered. Unknown as in everybody is here. The Aurora's Reach had jumped straight into the center of a galactic empire. Far away, alarms screamed across alien command stations. Sensors detected an unknown vessel appearing without permission, without warning, and without proper entry codes, right in the heart of Imperial space. Unidentified craft detected. An alien officer shouted. No fear signals, another said. No shields raised. No weapons charging. The Empire had never seen this before. Back on the human ship, Captain Brooks folded her arms. So, she said, it looks like we opened the wrong door. Mark smiled. Happens. Lena stared at him. We are surrounded by alien megastructures. Mark took another sip of coffee. Yeah, but the ship is still in one piece. Outside, enormous alien warships began to move. They formed a wide circle around the small human vessel. Weapons powered up. Energy fields glowed like artificial suns. The Empire expected fear. They got none. The Aurora's Reach stayed still. No sudden movement. No aggressive signals. Captain Brooks tapped the console. Open a communication channel. Mark raised an eyebrow. To who? Whoever owns a parking space, she said. The channel opened. Across the galaxy, millions of beings watched in shock as a tiny unknown ship sent a calm, clean signal into Imperial space. Captain Brooks spoke in clear, steady English. Hello, this is the human exploration vessel Aurora's Reach. We believe we may have entered your space by accident. Silence followed. Empire commanders waited for threats. Demands. Fear. Instead, the human captain continued. We apologize for sudden arrival. If possible, we would like directions back to unclaimed space. The word spread through Imperial command centers like a virus. They aren't apologizing. They show no submission signs. No panic response detected. One commander whispered, that calm is not natural. Alien fleets tightened their formation. A single warship moved closer, blocking the stars. On the human bridge, Lena finally broke the calm. Captain, they're locking weapons. Captain Brooks nodded. I see it. Mark leaned back. Do you want me to start emergency protocols? Not yet, the captain said. The Empire fired a warning shot. A beam of energy passed close to the human ship, close enough to light up the hull and shake the bridge. Lena gasped. Mark checked the damage report. No hull breach. Minor heat spike. Captain Brooks exhaled slowly. Send a follow-up message. Mark looked at her. Really? Yes. The channel reopened. Understood, Captain Brooks said calmly. If we are in restricted space, please advise. We will remain stationary. Across the Empire, fear replaced confusion. What kind of species stays polite while staring at extinction? Alien analysts pulled data at extreme speed. They scanned the human ship again. Small, lightly armed, no psychic shielding, no signs of deception. Yet the crew behaved as if surrounded by friends, not executioners. A senior Imperial commander leaned back in his seat. Either these beings are fools, or they're far more dangerous than we understand. On the Aurora's reach, the crew waited. No prayers, no screams, no panic, only quiet breathing and steady eyes. Captain Brooks looked at the stars that did not belong to her species. "Well," she said softly, "let's see who answers." And in that moment, the Galactic Empire realized something terrifying. The humans were not afraid. They were simply normal. The silence after the human message lasted longer than expected. In the command chambers of the Galactic Empire, high-ranking officials stared at their displays in disbelief. The small human ship floated in the center of the screen, surrounded by fleets that could erase it in seconds. Yet the ship did not move. No shields flared. No weapons charged. No panic signals appeared. "They are waiting," one officer said. "Just waiting." The Supreme Admiral of the Empire leaned forward. His species had ruled star systems for thousands of cycles. Every species feared them. Every species showed signs of stress when trapped in Imperial space. But these humans acted like travelers who had taken a wrong turn. "This calm is dangerous," the Admiral said. "No weak species behaves this way." Orders were given. A heavy cruiser moved closer to the Aurora's reach, its massive hull blocking out the stars. Weapon arrays glowed brighter, sending a clear message of power. On the human bridge, warning lights appeared. "Distance decreasing," Lena reported. "They want to scare us." Mark cracked his knuckles. "It's working a little." Captain Brooks smiled faintly. "A little is fine." She tapped the console. "Maintain position. Record everything." The Empire released a low-frequency intimidation wave, designed to cause fear, confusion, and mental collapse in lesser minds. Many species would already be screaming. Inside the human ship, the lights flickered. Lena rubbed her temples. "Headache," she said. "Like bad pressure." Mark frowned. "Feels like turbulence." Captain Brooks held onto her chair, breathing slowly. "Still functional?" "Yes, Captain." The data feed showed minor stress markers. Elevated heart rates. Nothing more. The Imperial analyst froze. "That should have broken them," one whispered. "But it didn't," another replied. "They adapted." The Supreme Admiral's eyes narrowed. "Run deep scans. I want their history." Across Imperial databanks, ancient records and newly hacked transmissions flooded in. The analysts began to see images from Earth. Storms, wars, cities burning, people rebuilding. These beings evolved under constant threat. An analyst said, "Their world is unstable, violent, unforgiving." And yet, another added, "They survived it." Back on the Aurora's reach, the crew felt the pressure fade. "Looks like the worst is over," Mark said. Lena glanced at the alien warships. "They're still aiming at us." Captain Brooks nodded. "They're deciding what we are." The communication channel opened again, this time from the Empire. A deep, mechanical voice filled the bridge. "Unknown species. Identify your intent." Captain Brooks answered without delay. "We are explorers. We mean no harm. Our presence here is accidental." The pause that followed felt heavy. "You show no fear," the voice said. "Explain." Mark whispered. "Do they want an essay?" Captain Brooks ignored him. "Fear would not help us leave," she said simply. "Across the Empire, that sentence spread like fire. Fear would not help us." The Supreme Admiral stood slowly. "They do not deny danger," he said. "They accept it." A dangerous thought formed. "If they are this calm while powerless," an officer said, "what are they like when threatened for real?" On the human ship, Mark leaned closer to Lena. "I think we impressed them." Lena swallowed. "I think we scared them." Outside, more fleets arrived. News of the calm humans had spread across Imperial space. Some species demanded immediate destruction. Others demanded study. All agreed on one thing. These humans were not normal. The Empire prepared its next test. If fear did not break them, something else would. And the humans, unaware of the coming trial, waited calmly, still asking for directions home. The Galactic Empire did not answer the humans right away. Instead, the space around the Aurora's reach changed. Energy fields shifted. New signals flooded the area, complex, layered, and heavy. This was not a weapon meant to destroy a ship. It was a weapon meant to destroy a mind. Across Imperial fleets, officers watched closely. Engaging cognitive pressure field. One announced. Intensity rising. This field had ended rebellions without firing a single shot. It attacked fear, memory, and identity. Most species collapsed within seconds. On the human bridge, the air felt thick. Lena grabbed the edge of her console. Captain, I'm seeing things. Old memories. Mark's jaw tightened. Same here. Training simulations. Accidents. Captain Brooks closed her eyes for a moment, steadying her breath. Her voice stayed calm. Focus on the present. Name what you see. Lena swallowed. Stars. Ships. Data. Mark nodded. Console. Power levels. Coffee stain. The effect weakened. Imperial analysts stared in disbelief. They are grounding themselves, one said. Individually. Without guidance. The pressure increased. Heart rates rose. Muscles tensed. But the humans did not scream. They did not beg. They endured. One analyst whispered, they have lived with this kind of stress their whole lives. Imperial databases continued to pull human history. Plagues. Nuclear threats. Planet-wide disasters. Still, the species endured. These beings do not avoid trauma, the Supreme Admiral said quietly. They adapt to it. On the Aurora's reach, the pressure finally dropped. Lena slumped into her seat, breathing hard. That was not fun. Mark forced a smile. I've had worse Mondays. Captain Brooks checked the crew. Everyone still with me? Yes, Captain. Outside, the fleets held position. No follow-up attack came. Instead, a new signal arrived, encrypted, controlled, and careful. The Empire was afraid to push further. They refused to break, an officer said. Every test fails. Then stop testing, another replied. Or we may wake something we cannot put back to sleep. A strange silence fell over Imperial command. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Empire did not know what to do. On the human ship, Mark frowned at his console. Captain, more ships are arriving. Not battle lines. Observers. Lena added, they're watching us. Captain Brooks looked out at the alien armada, then let them watch. She opened a log and spoke calmly, knowing it would be recorded. Human crew remains calm. Situation unresolved. We will continue peaceful contact. That simple statement echoed through the Empire. A species that stayed calm under absolute pressure. A species that refused a break. The Supreme Admiral turned to his council. We assumed power meant fear, he said. But these humans, fear is simply another condition they work through. A new thought spread through the galaxy. If humans could endure this, what could they do if truly provoked? And somewhere deep in Imperial space, a decision was forming, one that would change the balance of the galaxy forever. The Galactic Empire finally made a choice. Instead of more pressure, more fear, or more threats, a single message was sent to the Aurora's reach. It was not a command. It was an invitation. Human vessel. The Imperial voice said, calm but guarded. You are requested to attend a controlled diplomatic exchange. On the human bridge, Mark raised an eyebrow. That sounds serious. Lena checked the signal. Coordinates provided. Neutral station. Heavy security. Captain Brooks nodded once. Prepare the shuttle. No cheers. No fear. Just routine movement. Within minutes, a small human shuttle left the Aurora's reach and moved toward the massive Imperial station. Alien ships watched closely, weapons ready. Any sudden move would mean instant destruction. Inside the shuttle, Captain Brooks sat with Mark and Lena. They're nervous, Mark said quietly. Yes, the captain replied. and that makes them dangerous. The shuttle docked. The doors opened to a vast chamber filled with alien leaders from many species. Some stood tall, some floated, some glowed with energy. All of them watched the humans. Captain Brooks walked forward calmly. She did not bow. She did not show dominance. She simply stood. "We thank you for receiving us," she said. A murmur spread through the chamber. One Imperial official spoke. "You enter the heart of our empire without permission. You show no fear. Explain." Captain Brooks answered honestly. Fear would not change reality. Cooperation might. That sentence shifted the room. The Empire had built its rule on fear and order. This human spoke of cooperation. As if it were normal, observers across the galaxy watched the meeting live. "This is dangerous," one whispered. "They speak as equals." Before the Empire could respond, alarms rang through the station. Unidentified fleet detected. Not Imperial. Hostile signatures. A rival power, long held back by fear of the Empire, had seen opportunity. Weapons fire erupted outside the station. The chamber shook. Alien guards moved instantly, shielding their leaders. Panic spread among lesser species. The humans did not move. Mark checked his wrist display. "Captain, if that station's shield drops, we're done." Captain Brooks looked toward the viewport. "Then we help keep it up." An Imperial officer turned sharply. "You are unarmed." "Unarmed does not mean useless," Captain Brooks replied. She tapped her communicator. "Aurora's reach. Send our defense data. Open source." The Empire hesitated, then accepted. Human algorithms flowed into Imperial systems. Simple, efficient, built for survival, not domination. Station shields stabilized. The attacking fleet faltered. Across Imperial command, officers stared in shock. "They are helping us," one said. "They owe us nothing," another replied. The rival fleet retreated, confused and damaged. Silence returned. In the chamber, every alien eye turned to the humans. The Supreme Admiral spoke slowly. "You defended those who threatened you." Captain Brooks nodded. "You were not the threat." That moment changed everything. The Empire realized power had shifted, not by force, but by choice. Humans had not come to conquer. They had come by accident. And yet, the galaxy had just learned something terrifying. When humans decided to act, they did not need fear to win. The retreat of the rival fleet left the station silent, but the silence fell heavy. Across the Galactic Empire, news spread fast. Humans had defended Imperial space, not with threats, not with demands, but with calm help. On the command decks of Imperial fleets, officers replayed the data again and again. The human defense code was simple, clean, built to survive chaos, not control it. "These systems are not optimized for war," one analyst said. "They are optimized for failure," another replied. "They assume things will go wrong." That idea unsettled the Empire. Back aboard the Aurora's reach, the crew returned to their stations. The ship was still surrounded, but the tone had changed. Weapons were powered down. Formations loosened. Lena watched the sensors. "Captain, they're giving us more space." Captain Brooks nodded. "They're thinking." Mark leaned back in his chair. That's when powerful people get nervous. A new transmission arrived, encrypted, respectful. "Human vessel," the Supreme Admiral said. "Your actions prevented escalation. The Empire acknowledges this." Captain Brooks answered calmly. "We're glad no one was hurt." Another pause. "You acted with restraint," the Admiral continued. "Many species would have used this moment to demand advantage." "We don't need advantage," Brooks replied. "We just need to go home." That answer confused the Empire more than any weapon ever had. But the situation was not over. Without warning, a distress signal burst across the sector. A civilian convoy, non-imperial, mixed species, was under attack by remnants of the rival fleet. They were far from help. Their shields were failing. Imperial commanders hesitated. "It's outside our patrol zone," one said. "Sending fleets could look like weakness," another warned. On the Aurora's reach, Lena picked up the signal. "Captain, those ships won't last 5 minutes. Captain Brooks did not hesitate. Plot a course. Mark turned to her. They didn't ask us. They don't need to, she said. The human ship moved. Across the Empire, alarms sounded again, not in fear, but in shock. The humans are advancing, an officer said. Toward the threat? Another asked. Yes. The Aurora's reach was small, lightly armed, but it moved straight toward danger without dramatic maneuvers. No speeches, no warnings, just action. At the convoy, chaos ruled. Alien civilian ships burned. Communications were full of panic. The rival fleet closed in, confident. Then the human ship arrived. It did not open fire. Instead, it placed itself between the attackers and the civilians. Mark's hands moved fast, deploying countermeasures. Non-lethal patterns first. Human systems flooded the area with interference, targeting disruption, sensor ghosts, false echoes. The rival fleet fired blindly, hitting nothing. Lena coordinated evacuation paths, opening clear lanes through the chaos. Captain Brooks watched calmly. Now, she said, the Aurora's reach fired. Precise, controlled bursts. Engines disabled. Weapons offline. No unnecessary destruction. The rival fleet broke. They fled. Silence followed. The convoy survived. Across the galaxy, every sensor recorded the same truth. Humans had entered a real fight, and they had won without cruelty. Imperial command was stunned. They could destroy them, one officer said. But they chose restraint, another replied. The Supreme Admiral stood slowly. This is not weakness, he said. This is discipline. Back on the human ship, the crew exhaled. Lena smiled faintly. Civilians are safe. Mark rubbed his eyes. I need another coffee. Captain Brooks allowed herself a small breath of relief. Good work. A final transmission came from the Empire, no longer cold, no longer testing. Human captain, the Admiral said, the Empire recognizes your species as a stabilizing force. Captain Brooks replied simply, we're just travelers trying to get home. The Admiral paused. The galaxy may not let you leave so easily. And for the first time, the humans understood. They had not just survived the Empire. They had changed it. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Empire stood still. No fleets advanced. No weapons charged. No threats were spoken. Across Imperial space, leaders from many species gathered in emergency councils. They had all seen the same recordings. The small human ship moving calmly into danger, protecting strangers, refusing to dominate. This is not conquest behavior. One delegate said. This is worse, another replied. It inspires loyalty. The Supreme Admiral addressed council. Fear has kept our empire strong, he said slowly. But these humans command respect without fear. That truth was dangerous. A formal transmission was sent to the Aurora's reach. Human vessel, the Admiral said. The Empire offers you protected status. No fleet will threaten you. No border will block you. On the human bridge, Mark blinked. Did they just offer us immunity? Lena checked the data. It's real. Very rare. Captain Brooks folded her hands. Send our response. The channel opened. We appreciate the offer, Brooks said calmly. But we cannot accept special protection. Silence followed. You refuse safety? The Admiral asked. We refuse separation, Brooks replied. We don't want to stand above anyone. We want to stand with them. Across the council chamber, shock spread. This was not how power was supposed to work. The Admiral leaned back. Then what do you want? Captain Brooks answered without hesitation. Cooperation. Shared routes. Shared knowledge. No fear-based control. The Empire had crushed rebellions for less. Yet now it hesitated. Because every attempt to dominate humans had failed. Because every attempt to frighten them had only revealed strength. Grant them observer status. One counselor suggested. No, the Admiral said. That would still place them below us. He paused, then spoke words that echoed across the galaxy. Grant them equal standing. The council erupted. Equality was unthinkable. But the data was clear. The humans had already acted as equals, without asking permission. Back on the Aurora's reach, Lena stared at her screen. "Captain, they're updating their laws." Mark whistled softly. "We broke the Empire." Captain Brooks shook her head. "No, they chose to change." A final message came through. "Humanity," the Supreme Admiral said, "the Empire recognizes you as a peer civilization." Captain Brooks closed her eyes briefly, then replied, "Then we will act like one." Beyond the bridge windows, fleets slowly powered down. Trade routes reopened. Tension faded. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Empire had blinked first, and it had survived. The final question remained, one whisper across 1,000 worlds. If one human ship could do this, what would happen when more arrived? The jump drive on the Aurora's reach finally stabilized. Mark wiped grease from his hands and leaned back. "Captain, the drive is fixed. One clean jump and we're out." Lena looked up from her station. "Coordinates plotted. Unclaimed space. Safe." The bridge grew quiet. After everything that had happened, leaving felt strange. Captain Brooks looked at the stars of the Galactic Empire, bright, ordered, and no longer hostile. "Open a channel," she said. The Supreme Admiral appeared on the screen, his posture formal but no longer cold. "You are departing," he said. "Yes," Brooks replied. "We never planned to stay." A pause followed. "Will you return?" the Admiral asked. Mark muttered under his breath. "Careful question." Captain Brooks smiled faintly. "If we do," she said, "it will probably be by accident again." Across the Empire, that line will be repeated for years. The Admiral inclined his head. "Then the Empire will be prepared." He ended the transmission. As the human ship powered up, fleets moved aside, clearing a path. Not out of fear, but respect, the Aurora's reach jumped. In a flash of light, the humans were gone. Silence filled Imperial space. Then the changes began. Imperial law was rewritten. A single new rule was added to First Contact Protocol. If humans arrive calmly, do not provoke them. Trade species spoke of humans with curiosity instead of fear. Warrior species spoke of them with caution. Older civilizations watched quietly, reevaluating everything they believed about power. On distant worlds, stories spread. Humans who faced death without panic. Humans who helped enemies. Humans who fought only when necessary. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. They did something far more unsettling. They made it rethink itself. Back in human space, the Aurora's reach emerged from jump. Familiar stars filled the view screen. Lena laughed softly. "Home." Mark stretched. "Next time, we test a drive in a simulator." Captain Brooks filed the final report. "Accidental contact with Galactic Empire." She recorded. "Outcome, peaceful. Recommend future diplomacy." She paused, then added one last line. "Note, remaining calm appears to be effective." Far away, in the heart of the Galactic Empire, the Supreme Admiral stared at the empty space where the humans had been. For the first time in his long life, he felt something new, not fear, anticipation. Because one truth was now certain across the galaxy. Humanity had arrived, and they had done it by acting completely normal. Rocket. Weeks passed since the Aurora's reach disappeared from Imperial space. Yet the impact of humanity's accidental arrival echoed across the galaxy. Every fleet, every council, every trader knew the story. A small human ship had entered the heart of the Galactic Empire and terrified everyone by doing nothing extraordinary. No guns blazing, no dramatic speeches, just calm, deliberate action. Across Imperial command, discussions were no longer about fear or destruction. They were about understanding. "They survived our tests," one officer admitted. "They refused to panic. They refused to break, and they helped our civilians." The Supreme Admiral leaned back in his chair, staring at the empty starfield on the screen. "They do not act like other species. They have no illusions of power. And yet, they are stronger than anyone we have seen. In other parts of the galaxy, merchants and explorers whispered stories of humans. Pilots joked about accidentally crossing into human space. Scientists studied Earth's history, trying to understand how a species shaped by chaos could maintain such unshakable calm. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the crew of the Aurora's Reach went about routine maintenance and preparations for the next jump. Nothing had changed for them. They were still explorers, curious about the stars, unafraid, and mostly unconcerned with galactic politics. Captain Brooks smiled at her crew. We did what we had to. The galaxy seems to have noticed. Mark laughed softly. Notice? I think we shook a little. Lena chuckled. Maybe next time we'll just ask for directions first. The humans were simple in their intentions, but their actions had set a precedent. The Galactic Empire had changed forever. Not through war or diplomacy, but by witnessing a species that refused to be intimidated, even when surrounded by overwhelming power. New policies were created. New protocols were written. All across the stars, civilizations learned a single, simple lesson: do not underestimate humans. Some feared them. Some respected them. All wondered when, or if, they would return. And somewhere in the endless expanse of space, the Aurora's Reach quietly drifted toward its next accidental adventure. Because one thing was certain: humans did not need to conquer the galaxy. They had already changed it simply by being themselves.